Hello, my name is Alexis Foley. I will be presenting today on student perceptions on and preferences of instructor feedback. So the goal of this data collection was to understand how students perceive and prefer to receive feedback from their instructors, with an intended audience of instructors in higher education. For the data collection, I sent out a Google Form survey. This Google Form survey consisted of 6 quantitative questions of multiple forms and 1 open-ended qualitative question. Those quantitative questions were multiple choice, multiple answer, Likert scale, and again, the qualitative question was open-ended. I received 12 responses on this Google form. So here is an example of the Google form. So after the data collection came the data analysis. So first I conducted a descriptive analysis where I assigned numerical values to the different responses and then determined the mean, median, and mode for each question. For those Likert scale questions and then the multiple answers, I did do the mean, median, and mode for each of those questions. I also looked at the summary review and reviewed both to draw conclusions. So here's an example here of how I conducted the descriptive analysis. You can see here that the question is, what is your preferred method of instructor feedback? The code for 1 was individual, so individual feedback on assignments. The code for 3 was both individual and class feedback. So individual feedback on an assignment and then a summary based off of all of the submissions. So we can determine here from the mean, median, and mode. Again, most students said individual feedback on assignments, but then the median was 1.66, which falls right there between 1 and 3. Did the same thing here for question 3 and for the rest of the questions. And here you can see a summary from the Google form, which provides a nice visual of all of the data. So what are students thinking and feeling? What were the results? So we can see here that 66.7% of students prefer individual feedback, as mentioned. Feedback perceptions. What really stood out to me here was that students feel more connected to instructors with frequent feedback and are more likely to actively engage with frequent feedback. Also wanted to look at on what assignments do students find feedback to be beneficial. So we can see that a majority of students find feedback to be beneficial on projects, written assignments, and quizzes. Not so much on discussion boards. So from an instructor perspective, I might put more energy and time into feedback on project and written assignments rather than discussion boards, for example. Preferred feedback type. So we can see that 50% of students prefer annotated feedback directly on their assignment. For example, in the Canvas learning management system, you can provide feedback directly on the assignment. 33% prefer audio feedback, and only 16.7% prefer text feedback, so like a comment on the assignment. So that's something that stood out to me. And this one, how often do you read feedback if revisions are not required for your grade? 58.3% said always, and 16.7% said sometimes. So we can see here that students, for the most part, are reading feedback even if revisions are not required for their grade. A couple of statistics that stood out to me: 67% of students prefer individual feedback on their assignments, 50% of students prefer feedback annotated on their assignments, and 92% of students found feedback on projects to be beneficial. So a couple of conclusions that we might be able to draw here. Students do prefer individual feedback on their assignments. Feedback may not be valuable on all assignments. An instructor should gauge how their class views feedback and take this into consideration in instruction, because feedback is a critical component of teaching, of the learning experience for students. And so I think it's important to tailor that to the needs of the class and of the students. So good feedback is the key to improvement. And if you have any questions, you can reach me at 8foley8 at student.umgc.edu. Thank you.